Happy Spyro Community Day! It's crazy to think it's Spyro's 25th birthday. Oh, I feel old. We've had my generation grow up with the originals, some who have grown up with the Legend of Spyro series, some Skylanders, and now there are people growing up with the Reignited Trilogy and beyond. With over 10 million copies of the Reignited Trilogy sold in the last 5 years, cameos in Crash, and a sequel hopefully on the horizon, it's fair to say Spyro's not going anywhere just yet. Please let there be a game next year, it's the year of the dragon, come on! So, to celebrate, I wanted to go through what I consider are the best levels of each game. However, this won't be deviating. I'll cover the Legend of Spyro, but only the console versions. The portables won't be discussed in this one, as I've not really played them and can't comment on them. There are so many incredible levels in each game, and I'd love to hear about your favourites and why you love them in the comments. But with the intro over, let's begin with the game that started it all. Spyro the Dragon, and the level I've chosen is Metalhead. Possibly not the level people go to as their favourite, and oh boy, any level is valid, but for me, this was the level that taught me about how to hide secrets. Other than the fact it's just a fun level with an awesome boss, the secret under the waterway stumped me and blew me away as a small child. Discovering that was absolutely mind-blowing, and then I found the secret behind the waterfall, because every great game has a secret behind the waterfall. I know it doesn't look like water, but trust me, it is. It's what water looks like under the current UK government. Spyro 2 Metropolis. Simply put, I adore the theming of this level. It is a visual delight. The enemies are weird, although I guess you could argue normal by this game's standards. You get to fight an ox on an ice rink and take to the skies to wipe out the UFOs. What a joy. Very close runner-up for me is Aquaria Towers. It's rare that a water level is that good, but Spyro's water controls are genuinely among the best in gaming. Spyro Year of the Dragon, it's all of the M's. Metalhead, Metropolis, Frozen Altars. Frozen Altars is a pretty chill level. This music makes me feel things. Stuart Copeland is a genius. You get the ice breath for the level, you get to scale the world's height with some fun glide platforming, you get to have a Yeti boxing fight, and take part in cat hockey, which culminates in one of my top 3 dragon eggs. It's between this, the twins, and Jonah in the whale. You get to go into a whale, how cool is that? Spyro Enter the Dragonfly could be good, and you see that with some of its levels. It's just a pity the development couldn't have been more toxic if it tried. Well, I suppose someone could have burned down the offices pretending to be Spyro. Pretty sure that didn't happen. Anyway, Luau Island for me is the peak. It feels very Spyro in a way other levels don't. Does it live up to the original trilogy? Not for me personally, but again, I think it could under a different team. Maybe as like a mod for Reignited. I wonder how that's going. Spyro made his debut on the Game Boy Advance with Spyro Season of Ice, and for this we're going to the first level, Lava Prairie. Season of Ice has some excellent ideas, but the level design unfortunately suffers from being too confusing to tell where you're gliding to and at what height the platform you're gliding to will be. Fortunately, in this level, that's not the case. It's fun, the music is a bop, and I remember it fondly even now. There were some mid to late game contenders, but this is the one that makes me happy to think about. The speedways do not. Spyro Season of Flame. What's wonderful about Spyro as a franchise is every game has such diverse levels and themes, and I think that's already reflected in how every level I've chosen has been drastically different, and that trend doesn't stop here. Haunted Hills is such a fun vibe. There's a lot of awesome levels in this game, and actually I think whilst different, this game can rival the original trilogy. Haunted Hills is one of those levels you play and just lose yourself in. It's such a fun time, you just don't think about it and enjoy it until you leave. Can't really say that about Spyro Orange though. Dear God, what a mess. My favourite level is the Crash boss, because I throw a Molotov cocktail at Crash's gormless face. Sorry, I skipped a game to make that joke. Spyro Adventure, also known as Spyro Attack of the Rhynocs. This game is awesome. It's personally my favourite of the Game Boy Advance games, and I really like what it does with the whole collection design. It's a little Metroidvania-like, and I dig it. The most interesting level is for sure Moneybags' mansion, as you actually get to visit his detestable wealth and his cursed child, but my favourite level is the Fairy Library. It's a lovely, chill vibe. You know what? There aren't enough library levels. Let's make that a thing. The soundtrack to this game is honestly one of my favourites in the series and doesn't get enough credit. This game rules, and I'm glad I've had this excuse to sing its praises. Before we move back to the main console stuff, let's look at the final portable game with Spyro Shadow Legacy on the DS. I personally didn't gel with this one too much, but I like the Dragon Realms. It's technically a bunch of levels, but you could argue it's one big level with different districts. I like how it all blends together, and you even get to go to Cliff Town. It's very different from Spyro 1, but it's still cool. And speaking of blending things together, hello Spyro A Hero's Tale. Oh man, I love this game. The way all the levels connect seamlessly brings me so much joy. Excellent level design, solid jokes for the most part, and that soundtrack, So, Sunken Ruins. Sewer levels are awesome and underappreciated, and this one speaks to me. I really enjoy the various challenges this level creates, and it's spurred on so much by the music. Ice Citadel was also a high contender for the same reasons, but I went with Sunken Ruins. The Legend of Spyro series is an ambitious new take on the franchise, especially since it goes in hoping for a couple of sequels to sell its story, which is a big ask. Thankfully, it secured it, and that's why my favourite level is the final one, Convexity. Did someone ask for a dark, moody castle with fun challenges? Good, because you're getting it. Oh, and did you also ask for an awesome final boss? Because, oh baby, you're getting that too. Cinder rules, and she's a badass, threatening presence throughout the entire game, until you realise she's just a big softie, really. But the atmosphere from all of this is fantastic, and does leave a shadow of intrigue for the future. That said, I'm sorry, I didn't really like the Eternal Night, I didn't have a good time, but my favourite level, even though I have problems with it, is the Pirate Fleet. You have to traverse from ship to take out the captain. It's a really cool concept, and it's fun. It does drag on a bit, and yes, Spyro should be able to just fly straight to the captain's ship, and does free fly away when you finish the level, and it still infuriates me now, but that's neither here nor there, it's a great level. But that just leaves the finale. You've got to hope everything you've been building towards has been worth it. And oh baby has it! Dawn of the Dragon is genuinely an amazing game. You can switch between Spyro and Cinder on the fly, or play 2-player co-op for the whole thing. That's cool enough already, but Cinder has epic breath abilities, and you can kind of free fly through the levels, and the design caters to that. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. The level design is super fun, but that is not all. Let's fly through the gorgeous land of Avalar. Oh, and then let's take out a golem at a dam. This game is filled with cool stuff, but then they decided to include one of the coolest bosses of all time. There's this game, you've probably never heard of it, it's called Shadow of the Colossus. Well, what if that, but like 100 times bigger? You're on the boss the whole time, taking it down as you traverse it. The Destroyer is such a cool level, and you should absolutely play this game if you haven't. You're in for a treat. Love it or hate it, Skylanders was an important part of Spyro history, so let's go through those too. For Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, Stormy Stronghold takes it for me. The game is fun up until that point, but that's the level that proved we've got something big here. It's such a fun atmospheric time. But not quite as atmospheric as Skylanders Giants' level. Willikin Village. This thematically dark village is a fascinating blend of level design and lore building. Giants definitely stepped up the game. Skylanders Swap Force's best level has to be Mesmerelda's show. The music is fantastic and it's a solid boss too. It's a shame we never saw Mesmerelda again. Skylanders Trap Team has a lot of cool levels, but my favourite has to go to Monster Marsh. The whole level is such a fun vibe, and Dreamcatcher is my favourite villain of the game. So having her as a boss was an absolute win, and the area is super cool, I love it. Skylanders Superchargers had what might be my favourite level of the franchise, and I feel bad for kind of forgetting about it prior to doing research for this video, because oh man, it's awesome. The Spellpunk library feeds you lore, but you also play it in these creative 2D environments, and it's one of the best examples of creative storytelling you can find. Finally, Skylanders Imaginators, the golden arcade. I like minigames and battle challenges. Give me a level full of them and I'm gonna have a good time. I also did consider Thumpin' Wumpa Island as, you know, it's the Crash level, but I didn't want to do a Crash level in a Spyro video just because it is more about Spyro. Skylanders was the gateway to a lot of people's discovery of the Spyro franchise, and I'm glad. Skylanders quickly became its own thing, and I've had so many wonderful memories with fans and devs alike sharing our love for this franchise. Following the success of Skylanders and also the Crash N. Sane trilogy, Spyro Reignited Trilogy was released and, as I mentioned earlier, has sold over 10 million copies, which is wonderful. But since we've already covered the original trilogy, I'm instead going to list the levels I think had the biggest glow up visually. Dark Hollow was turned into a beautiful, peaceful nighttime library, and it always makes me feel happy revisiting it. I love this level. Dr. Shemp, purely for that eclipse. Oh, that is stunning. Misty Bog, I love visiting the little caverns and seeing how much life they have in them in comparison to the original. It's so cool. Enchanted Towers, that skate park, my lords, that is pretty. And finally, Midnight Mountain. It's one of my favourite places in the original game, and they made it better. Obviously, the entire game is stunning, but these are the ones that blew me away the most. Sadly, since then, we haven't had a new Spyro game, but Spyro did get some cool representation in Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled with Spyro Circuit. This track highlights some beautiful parts of the Dragon Kingdom, and it's a fun track to race on for sure. I also really like Spyro's alternate skins that he gets. And now, that brings us to the present day. As of releasing this video, Crash Team Rumble Season 2 has revealed it will have a party mode, and Ripto will be playable. It's almost a guarantee that we'll get Spyro, and probably another character, and we will almost certainly get a Spyro-related stage too. So I guess that'll be my favourite Spyro stage for Crash Team Rumble. But we'll have to wait and see what that stage is. Knowing my luck, it will be announced the same time as this video goes live, or like an hour before, but whatever. Spyro has changed so many lives, whether you became a fan through the originals, or The Legend of Spyro, or Skylanders, or even Shadow Legacy. It's great to share the love of Spyro. Tell me, what is your favourite game, your favourite level, your favourite memory of Spyro? I would love to know. It's always nice to hear stories of how people fell in love with their favourite characters. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd very much appreciate it if you would leave a like, subscribe, maybe share the video around. I was recently demonetized for no reason, so if you would consider supporting me on Patreon, that is very much appreciated. I also have a Twitch and a Twitter if you want to support me there. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. It's so wonderful to take part in this Spyro Community Day and share my love of Spyro, and I hope you all enjoy the day and the anniversary. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.